Every opportunity is valuable in Formula One, and Scuderia Ferrari knows this very well. During the Pirelli testing session, which took place earlier this week at the Fiorano circuit, the historic Italian team tried to collect as much data as possible. The opportunity was precious because, although the references on the 2025 tires are almost non-existent, being able to use the car from the current Formula One championship is always very advantageous. In fact, according to the International Federation's regulations, in these cases, it is allowed to use all the updates that have been employed at least once during the ongoing season. For this reason, the latest version of the SF-24 was able to take to the track this week. Red Bull knows something about this, as they now find themselves in an extremely difficult situation from which they seem unable to escape. The RB20 single-seater has a good technical base, but it has not evolved like other teams. At an earlier time, former Red Bull engineer Adrian Newey himself hinted at this problem, stating that he was not at all proud of certain aspects of the latest car designed under his supervision, comments which raised some eyebrows from the competition considering they were made in the start of the 2024 Formula One campaign, when Max Verstappen and the Austrian side seemed unbeatable, while Sergio Perez was also in a position to easily challenge rivals Ferrari, McLaren, and Mercedes. However, the British designer is no longer part of the team, and next week his move to Aston Martin in 2025 will be officially announced. Unfortunately for Red Bull, and thankfully for the rest of the top teams, his brilliant ideas cannot solve the current crisis. The technical group led by Pierre Wachi has not been able to give that spark necessary to revive the 2024 Formula One season. McLaren has now taken off and is currently the benchmark in the top category of motorsport. Ferrari seems to have improved the SF-24 car, as demonstrated by the last two Grand Prix, and Mercedes, despite a slight downturn between the Netherlands and Monza, largely due to a wrong setup, with Lewis Hamilton managed to finish ahead of Max Verstappen's RB20 in the Italian Grand Prix, a situation that the world champion is struggling with, and quite a bit. Christian Horner and Helmut Marko are convinced that Adrian Newey's absence has nothing to do with it. We do not agree at all, as the British designer has always brilliantly corrected projects that were not functional to the cause. We are now talking about an RB20 single-seater that, forced to push beyond its limits, shows several flaws in trying to keep up with the competition. The front end of the RB20 continues to create several headaches, as it cannot follow the input provided by the driver through the steering wheel, complicating handling, especially in certain types of corners, not to mention the difficulties related to tire activation. For Ferrari, the situation is slightly different. First of all, the Pirelli wet track testing session took place at their home circuit, Fiorano, taking advantage of the hospitality and support of the Scuderia Ferrari F1 team. British driver Oliver Bearman, at the wheel of an SF-24, worked on the development of new solutions for wet and intermediate tires, utilizing the circuit's artificial irrigation system. The young member of the Ferrari Driver Academy started with a few laps on dry conditions, then focused on the program set by Pirelli's technicians. In total, Oliver Bearman, who will race for Haas in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, completed 167 laps. Similarly to what Red Bull did, Ferrari collected a large amount of data using the latest version of the SF-24 car. As we know, at Monza, the Maranello technical team introduced a new specification of the car's floor. We are talking about a crucial component under the current Formula One regulations, which is essential for generating free aerodynamic downforce. The specification underwent a major evolution, as it was modified in all its parts. At the entrance in the front area, the shape of the fences that channel airflow underneath the car towards the Venturi channels was changed, with these channels also undergoing clear reshaping. The external fin saw a modification of its edge, while underneath the side pods, in the area where the undercut opens, the overall volume was changed, a choice useful for reducing the loss of direct airflow towards the car's rear. The sharp edge is different from the old version, modified by eliminating the appendage that had the function of generating downforce. A small curl was added to seal the floor and prevent infiltration of dirty airflow coming from the tires. Finally, another detail concerns the repositioning of the hooks that support the part of the floor detached from the rest of the SF-24 car's underbody. As we can easily imagine, fully validating this component takes time for the technicians of the Maranello team. Moreover, the 5.793-kilometer Autodromo Nazionale Monza was not the ideal track for doing so, given that its layout doesn't require a particularly high aerodynamic compromise. While awaiting confirmation of the effectiveness of this aerodynamic update, Ferrari nevertheless took advantage of the Pirelli tests at the Fiorano circuit in order to gather interesting data on a wet track surface. Thanks to these particular conditions, the Maranello team acquired additional valuable information that will undoubtedly prove useful as the 2024 Formula One Championship progresses. For now, it seems that after the Italian Grand Prix and after the bouncing issues that seem to have been solved, the Ferrari SF-24 can still win in Formula One this year. The performance shown at the Temple of Speed is quite encouraging, despite the unique nature of the Italian track. The masterpiece by Charles Leclerc and the engineers of Maranello, with the single pit stop that surprised McLaren's rivals, is not just a matter of chance. Ferrari is now back in the leading group. All weekend, we kept telling the same story. Even if Ferrari performed well here at Monza, it would only be due to the peculiarities of the circuit. With very low aerodynamic drag, bouncing should have been almost absent, and without hopping, the SF-24 could make the most of its characteristics. Sunday confirmed these assumptions, giving Charles Leclerc his second victory in front of the Italian crowd, after that amazing Sunday afternoon back in 2019. The SF-24 was fast, efficient, and gentle on the tires, qualities that cannot go unnoticed. In fact, Monza clarified an important point. If the new floor is confirmed in the upcoming races, Ferrari could be up there with McLaren. The Italian track is indeed a unique circuit, but it's also a track that, statistically, rewards good engineering. It's a circuit where victories aren't by chance, but require as much aerodynamic efficiency on the straights as the ability to stick to the asphalt in fast corners. In past years, the Italian Grand Prix has often been won by future world champions. It was the case in 2022 and 2023 when Max Verstappen celebrated with Red Bull. In the two editions of the new wing car era, the best car on the grid was the one that eventually triumphed at the Autodromo. But previous seasons tell the same story. In 2021, Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton would have won, if not for that now famous crash. In 2020, without penalties, the seven-time Formula One world champion would have still won with Mercedes, as the Brackley team secured 5 consecutive victories from 2014 to 2018. In fact, the only truly atypical win, if we want to call it that, was Ferrari's in 2019. The upcoming races, as well as the two championship standings still at stake, hinge on the bouncing aspect. Ferrari team principal Frédéric Vasseur had predicted that this would be Maranello's focus, with the clear goal of eliminating it by the end of the summer break. The new floor, introduced at Monza, moves in that direction, but updates to the SF-24 are not yet complete. Another aerodynamic update package is expected to arrive between Singapore and Austin, and there's confidence in the factory. The car had already shown promise in the first part of the season. The concept behind it is good. The problem was the disastrous update introduced in Spain. But nothing is beyond correction in an era where cars are so sensitive to engineering tweaks that even small adjustments can radically alter performance. Baku and Singapore will be as unique as Monza, where Ferrari could display its full technical potential without the fear of bouncing. Of course, McLaren remains the team to beat, as they could have performed much better at Monza. But the SF-24 is in the mix. It only takes a personal spark or a rival's mistake, and the Italian anthem could once again ring out in the championship.